Hoops Hype came out with an NBA exec poll of top players under 25. Where did LaMelo Ball fall on those rankings? Plus, the Hornets released their statement edition jerseys. We'll talk about it all today on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
We're Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your pods. That includes YouTube. I'm Walker Mail. That's Doug Branson. That's the man responsible for the sick new graphic you see all around us. Doug, nice job, man. This looks great.
I appreciate it, Walker. I can't take all of the credit. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes at Locked On right now to up the game. But I will take most of the credit. I'll also say that it's not an accident that if you're watching YouTube right now, I am slightly higher in the frame than Walker, even though he has me by multiple inches in height.
Do you want me to just sprout, just kind of do this, slouch in the chair?
I got to do something. Make me feel better. I mean, you probably dominate me in basketball, so I got to do something to make me feel a little bit better.
Well, your camera encapsulates your beauty a lot more than mine does. One, I don't have much. Two, my camera's not good, so it's a double whammy for me. You got everything. You got the flow going on, the hat backwards, and the excellent camera to focus in on all that is so beautiful about Doug Branson. Speaking of the beauty, you're welcome. Dude, I got your back, man. I know you try to clown me and hope I lose, MJ or Chicken Soup, but I actually hope for your success, and that's why I'm here to compliment you. I'm also here to compliment LaMelo Ball. Unlike some of these NBA execs in this new Hoops Hype poll, Doug, are you angry about where he falls on this list?
This is unbelievable. I'm looking at it right now. This Hoops Hype polled 15 NBA executives, asked them to rank their top 5 players under 25 years old by the start of the NBA season. This is essentially like who you would want to build around. And some familiar names up top. I'm not going to argue with Luka Doncic. I'm not going to argue Jason Tatum, even though, maybe do it in the finals next time.
There we go. Devin Booker reincarnated. I'm ready for that.
He's not on there. I don't know how old he is now, but he's not on this list. Ja Morant, number 3. I'm not going to argue with that. Okay, but then we get into Evan Mobley, 4. Anthony Edwards, 5. Zion Williamson, 6. Notice I haven't said LaMelo Ball's name yet. 7. Oh, it's got to be 7, right? No, Scotty Barnes. No. And then LaMelo finally shows up on this list in 8th. I don't understand I don't know which 15 general managers they asked, but they need to ask the other 15.
So the one that actually was in favor of voting LaMelo higher talked about there being some future stock in this voting, that perhaps LaMelo is not one of the top 7 players right now on this list, but that in the future he would expect him to reach that. Kind of interesting to me, considering this is a guy that's going into his 3rd year in the league, where Ja Morant, more years, more experience. Zion Williamson, not really as much experience because of all the missed time, but I guess more years a part of the NBA. So I don't even know how much that's true. Like, if you think LaMelo has a better future than some of these guys, if you think, then you might think it's because he's been a better player the last 2 seasons. And so I guess it goes to him voting LaMelo probably 3rd or 4th, somewhere higher than 8th. But Doug, I thought that this was low too. And there's like 2.5 I have a problem with. I think Scotty Barnes is one that I would go below LaMelo. And Scotty to me is going to be an awesome player. But if you're talking about guys you want to build your team around, I just don't know if Scotty is going to be the scorer that LaMelo is capable of. One, he's not the shooter that LaMelo is capable of being. And even if Scotty is an awesome passer, so is LaMelo. Like, LaMelo is one of the best passers in the game. Defensively, it's otherworldly. Scotty Barnes is going to be an absolute beast on that end, and that matters for sure. Like, I want to bring this into the equation. But LaMelo, a lead guard that can make good decisions with the basketball in his hands and really be a scoring threat, along with just making other players better around him. I think Scotty has a little bit of that. But I would put LaMelo above Scotty, at least to that 7 spot. Then you have the Zion Williamson thing, where he's been awesome when he's played, but he hadn't played a whole lot. Like, he has this all-star appearance. He shot 60% from the field and scored 27 a game, okay? Dumb numbers in the 60-game season that he played 2 years back. But health is a real issue. And then you get to Anthony Edwards, who was not Rookie of the Year the same season that LaMelo Ball played. In fact, it was LaMelo who would have won Rookie of the Month almost every single month, Doug, had he not gotten hurt and missed a decent portion towards the last third of the season before he comes back for 10 games. I think everybody else, like Evan Mobley, I'm cool with, man. I'd put Evan Mobley above LaMelo too. I think Evan's going to be generational. That guy's insane. But it's Anthony Edwards, it's Zion Williamson with the health, and it's Scotty Barnes, especially Scotty, that I would move LaMelo past.
So this is not the first year that Hoops Hype has done this GM survey. Last season, LaMelo Ball, after that Rookie of the Year campaign, LaMelo Ball was 4th on this list. So he has dropped 4 places. And what I would ask these general managers, what did LaMelo Ball do last season that would have dropped him that significantly? All he did was make an all-star game. All he did was score 20 points, average 7 assists and 6 rebounds. Some pretty crazy numbers for a second-year player. I just don't understand what he did to drop that far, other than I think what you pointed to, the defensive end of the floor. He's being eclipsed by a Scotty Barnes and an Anthony Edwards who probably took bigger leaps on that area of the floor. And when you're talking about players you want to build around, I guess these general managers are weighting that end of the floor, the ability to be a two-way player, higher in terms of what they want to build around. But I would say these GMs don't know what they're talking about, and they should all be fired because LaMelo Ball cannot be 8th on this list. He doesn't need to be number 1 on this list. He will be one day, but he doesn't have to be it today. But number 8 is absurd to me. They're not watching. They're not watching the Hornets. That's the problem. The Hornets aren't on national TV enough, and that's the Hornets' fault. That's not LaMelo's fault. Here, once again, the franchise letting down their future superstar. This is crazy. I want to know if Mitch Kupchak was one of the 15, and I want to know where he ranked LaMelo Ball on this list.
It was behind Gordon Hayward. Mitch, Gordon Hayward's not 25 or younger. It doesn't. Yeah, we don't.
I want answers.
So you would put him in front of Scotty. You would put him in front of Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
Would you put him in front of? And you'd put him in front of Anthony Edwards, I imagine. Are you putting him 5th behind Evan Mobley?
No, I'm putting him in front of Evan Mobley. I just don't. I mean, I still have questions about the impact that Evan Mobley can have long term at that position. You know, and now maybe the game shifts back where, you know, having that dominant center is something that moves an entire franchise. But it just, you know, having a guard or a forward that can play on both ends of the floor, that's something that, again, that LaMelo is definitely going to have to improve on if he wants to reach that superstar level. But I don't know that Evan Mobley is going to have that franchise impact. I mean, they went out and got Donovan Mitchell precisely because they don't believe that any player on their team currently was, you know, good enough to take on that role.
Oh, well, I mean, if the Hornets would have done that, would that have said that about LaMelo?
No.
I was like, what? Come on. Wait, what happened? Like, I was spinning. I was chasing my tail.
But that's different. You know why it's different?
Okay.
Because Cleveland had multiple players like that. They got Darius Garland, who is ranked below LaMelo on this list. I mean, giving LaMelo one player in the top 20 would have been nice. I mean, Cleveland had several players that they could have built around, and they decided to go out and get Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, I think Evan Mobley is fine where he is. It's the Anthony Edwards, Scotty, and Zion is crazy. Like I'm not like mad about Anthony and Zion. Scotty's the one where I'm like, no way, not right now.
I'm not building a team. If you're going to give me, honestly, I think there's a clear argument to me, LaMelo versus Zion, in terms of building your team around that player.
Yeah.
I think it's LaMelo because of the health concerns. You want to look. LaMelo had his health scare with the wrist, and he recovered fine and played, improved his game last season. So I'm betting on LaMelo.
Yeah, I would do that too. I would go with LaMelo. Health scares me like hell, and especially Doug, LaMelo's shooting just unlocks so many different things. That's the difference between a Scotty, a Zion, and even an Anthony Edwards right now. It is the shooting that makes him different, I think, offensively than those players. Now, you do have a hell of a rim attack with all three of those guys, especially Zion Williamson, who shot a 65% true shooting percentage. It's Shaq-like. It's absolutely ridiculous at his size, but also I don't know how long he's going to play. He is expected to play, by the way, against the Hornets, the second game of the season, believe the home opener. But yeah, I think LaMelo probably deserves to pass a couple of those guys, and it's interesting to see Rookie of the year. What have you done for me lately? Hornets, not necessarily as good. Timberwolves are exciting. Pelicans are exciting. Raptors have some exciting young nucleus things there, and I wonder how much that plays a part. Before we move on, I'm surprised to see Trae Young come in at 9th, Doug. Like, if you would have asked me coming into these rankings, where does Trae Young reside? I would have said close to top 5. I'm a little surprised he was tied for 9th.
Yeah, he was 5th last season, so he took a pretty precipitous fall, even more than LaMelo Ball. But one NBA executive did rank him as high as 3rd. So obviously there's some polarization in some of these numbers for Trae Young and LaMelo Ball, 2 players who are viewed fairly or unfairly as playing one end of the floor.
And Trae Young is maybe the worst defender in the league, so you have that.
And LaMelo is not the worst defender in the league, absolutely.
No, not even close. But also Trae Young, the only one besides Luka Doncic and Jason Tatum who had an NBA playoff moment where Trae Young gets his team to the Eastern Conference Finals and is awesome doing so. We saw Luka do that. We saw Jason Tatum do that to get to the NBA Finals. Ja Morant kind of had that moment, but not as emphasized as those other players. So Trae Young, despite having that moment, coming in tied for 9th with a Darius Garland. All right, coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Don't go to sleep on the Hornets just yet.
Ooh, Let's talk about that did not change over like I wanted it to.
Yeah.
Still working out some bugs in the system, folks.
We do need to work out the bugs, all of the Hornets that are in the system. And speaking of the Hornets, they released new City Edition jerseys. No, not City Editions. Is it Statement?
Statement Edition.
Statement Edition. I forgot.
We'll right.
City is now Statement.
We don't listen. Yeah, we don't always get it right the first time, but we do eventually get it right.
That's correct. The Statement Edition jerseys. Also, they unveiled a court really just like 30 minutes before we started recording, so we'll talk about that as well, but not before we talk about BetOnline. It's your number one source for all your pro and college football betting needs and sports info this season. You can find all of the latest football league developments, game matchups, news, and podcasts. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sport wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores, the fastest and the easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, even golf. You can head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Statement Edition jerseys and court coming up next. Locked On Hornets. Look at Cody Martin repping the new Statement Edition jerseys. Purple. Thank God there's not a chaw on their chest. That's all we can ask for. The Hornets logo, the letters, and you also even see like the honeycomb, the cell work. What do you think, Doug? You like what Cody Martin is repping?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I like the cell work the most. So this is a purple jersey. This is their statement jersey, has Hornets on the front. Does have the new cell design. I think that's really what I like the most because it's a little something different. And it gets rid of the CHA. I mean, I think we can all agree that getting rid of the CHA. Everybody hated the CHA. Everybody wanted CLT. That's the 3-letter designation that everyone associates with Charlotte. No one says CHA. So got rid of that. Just said, all right, forget the debate. We're just going to put Hornets on there. We'll give you a little design. I like the C. There's the C on the, I don't know what you would call that, the shorts tag. You know, I like that. I'll tell you one thing. I don't see if I can pull it up on the screen share here. I'll tell you one thing I really like is the not the cell pattern itself, but how the cell pattern looks when it comes down on the shorts. So let's go to screen share.
Yeah, the trim is the strongest part for me. Yeah. And it's a little simple, but they give you some detail on the trim going down to the shorts. They have the logo there as well. The new logo, the side profile of the new Hornet that they came back with once they introduced the team back to Charlotte. So, yeah, like not loud, not crazy, but overall I like it. Like it's not going to get a huge ovation in my opinion, but it's pretty good, like above average. I like overall what they did.
Well, I feel like you're shifting a little bit on me here because I feel like you were a little bit more meh pre-show. You were like, I don't know.
No, so, I was. It's not loud, is what I said pre-show. It's like, and I like to see. I would have liked to have seen more of a louder design. Like we don't need the gradient. Where is the happy medium between gradient and this? Because the trim is awesome, man. Like it reminds me a little bit of when the Timberwolves, their black jerseys, when they had the pine trees. trimming all of their jerseys and their shorts, right? Like, except for us, it's the cell work here in Charlotte. So I love that. I think that looks good. I like the purple color. That looks good too. But it's kind of simple once you get inside the trim.
Okay, here I finally have it. I'm trying to change the name of the file. There we go. So this is what I'm talking about. So how the cell pattern comes down to a little stinger on the shorts. Just the cool little touches in this one.
Absolutely.
But I think you're right. Ultimately, this jersey, there's the jock tag not the jock tag. What am I thinking of? The C. There's a little C pattern that I like. I mean, the lettering looks fine. I can't find the little short C pattern, but I think you're right. This ultimately plays it a little bit safe, but I think there's enough nice touches in here that it makes it interesting. So yeah, I mean, ultimately that's what the Hornets have done this offseason. They've played it safe. Not making any big changes. I'm not as big a fan of that, but this I'm okay with because, look, they've both played it safe in the past and done some things that I thought were baffling with the gray jerseys and the CHA and all these different things. So, if you're going to play it safe, don't play it safe and then make these big wrong decisions. Play it safe, go to the purple, go to the Hornets, cell pattern, things that we're a little bit more familiar with. Or alternatively, I think what we're really asking for is in the future, take some big, bold, loud, if you're really going to change things up, go big, go bold, go loud. If that's what they want to do in the future, fine. But if you're going to play it safe, I think this is the best way to play it safe.
So am I wrong? Do they have Statement and City Edition, or is it just Statement now?
I think I think there are both. We just haven't.
Okay.
I don't know that we've seen the city. They like to leak these things out just to keep you interested along the way as we approach this preseason. I just think we haven't seen that.
No, that's fine. I just was trying to figure out. Okay, did they switch? Are they revealing a whole bunch of different jerseys? I just didn't know if that is something they would do again, because I do like this. And what's interesting too, Doug, is I think the last 2 years you had the gradient where that was a little maybe too much for some people. I think it grew on fans as they watched the Hornets. But overall, everybody loved the Mint City edition. And when you had that mint color, it wasn't crazy. And I think that's something the Hornets did well. They did not have this crazy design. All they did was have a cool design, but change the color. This has been a franchise, for whatever reason, they know how to pick colors, man. The purple and teal, it works. The mint, that works. Now it got stolen by, I think, the soccer team down in Atlanta. I know the New York Liberty have started to roll with that mint color as well. So now that's being a little more frequent. The Hornets were the first to bring it out there, and the first time in a while, because of what they did with their jerseys they released a couple of years ago. That's always going to be at the top. I really do like this, though. Like, out of 1 to 10, where NASCATs is 1 and mint is 10, give me like a 7.5. I think that's where I would land.
I like that. Maybe I'd go 6. I'd go 6.5. I'm going to dock them again a little bit for not being original, for not taking that big, bold swing. But Walker, we're living in an age where taking big, bold swings comes with the risk that you're going to get clowned on Twitter. And so I think a lot of these brands play it safe because they don't want to be. There's that big C on the shorts. Yeah, I like it. So I like the C. I wish I could get more hat. One of my favorite hats is the gray hat that I wear that has that C logo, but it's the full C with the little crown popping out of the top. And
it's kind of like a cell shape, right? Like, so it stops just full of the full circle and then gives you a cell.
Exactly. I'm not a big fan of the secondary logo, which comes up on the shorts here. I'm not a big
side
fan
profile
of that.
Hornet.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that Hornet. I don't know why. I don't know what gets me about that Hornet. I just don't love it. But yeah, I want to see big, bold swings in the future. I think that's the big thing. But brands are scared. Brands are scared to do that because they don't want to be the conversation on Twitter. But here's the thing: if you play it safe, you're not only not the conversation because you're not getting clowned, you're not the conversation at all. And, I think that's where the Hornets, unfortunately, as an organization on the court find themselves. They're not in a conversation at all. They're not a threat. They're not going to get clowned on Twitter. They're just not going to get talked about because there's this sort of curve that happens, right? Where the more you're a threat, the more people talk trash about you. And then people still talk trash about you even if you start to not be a threat anymore because they just want to kick you when you're down. But then you go all the way down the curve. And this is where I tried to get in high school to avoid the bullies. I want to be so far down the threat level that you're not even going to touch me. You're not even going to deal with me. I'm going to play dead. I'm going to hit the floor, not talk for a little while until the beatings stop. And that's unfortunately, I think, where the Hornets find themselves.
Okay, wow. We were all over the place. You're saying that the bully's vision was based off movement, and if you played dead long enough, they would eventually leave.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I watched Jurassic Park, and it opened up a lot for me. Saved my whole high school experience, I think. Also, they did a court redesign. What do you think of this? I'm trying to get it centered up here in the frame, but what do you think of this court redesign? Can you describe it for me?
So, if you take this type of view, well, we're not magnifying this picture yet. I think it looks cool, but there's not a whole lot of detail. You have the established 1988 moniker at the bottom of the court. You have the vague kind of silhouette Hornet logo in the middle, and then they're detailed at each catty corner of the court if you take a bird's eye view. Purple have teal lines on the top half of the basketball where you shoot your free throws. But I want to talk about the paint, and I want to talk about the out-of-bounds area, because if you just kind of gloss over this picture, then you might miss it. But if you go to the paint, they have the purple and kind of like neonish blue purple. I don't know if I'm colorblind, but that's what it's coming across off.
It looks, I would say in that sort of neon blue area, kind of a Duke blue.
They have the cell outline all within the paint, and I think that looks really cool.
You're digging
I
that?
like the paint. I like the half basketball. I like the colors they've gone with. I think that part of the court looks very cool, and I'm with the statement court.
Yeah, I like I like that they're detailing when the Hornets were founded. I think that's good information for young people who just have no idea. That's some good information there. I like the typeset. I think I'm not as big of a fan of this particular court
Silhouette.
Yeah, well, I don't like I don't know that I'm in love with the court in general. I just don't think there's. I mean, I want to see how noticeable this paint design is, because to my eye in this graphic, it's not terribly noticeable. I think this is one that I'm going to have to see on camera to really make a definitive statement on. But again, I just don't. There's not a ton here. They call this a tonal cell pattern within free throw lanes with half basketball at free throw line. This doesn't do as much for me as the unfortunately, like, to me, this doesn't beat the retro courts that we've seen in the past.
The butt swoosh.
Well, the butt swoosh is replaced here by just a simple sort of triangle that represents,
like
I imagine, a stinger, but upside down. It's just, but it's like, it's kind of nothing. And again, I think it goes to this sort of minimalism, trying not to do too much, trying not to be outlandish because you don't want people to laugh at you. But nobody's laughing at the retro court. People think the retro court is cool, and it's because it has that 90s loud, outlandish kind of flair to it that I think people are all too afraid to try and go after in this day and age.
So I think the mid-court logo, while I like the silhouette logo in general, here it's just too much purple. So give me
it's a lot of purple in general. They really go heavy on the purple.
Give me the teal logo. I know you don't love the side profile Hornet, but I think that color match would go really well with the rest of how the court is designed. And here's the other thing too. The jerseys are purple. They're going to be playing on a purple court. I love that purple is a part of the color scheme that is the Charlotte Hornets. I love the purple pinstripe jerseys, one of my favorite of all time. But if you had the actual color coordination of bringing some type of big teal element to their jerseys, which is missing, and then put it on this purple court with a purple, like a teal mid logo, I'm with that. Just a lot of perp drink here. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
with
I
this.
mean, we're entering a little bit of a Barney kind of grimace zone of just ultra purple. You know,
hold
I
on
love
to your
you,
hamburgers.
you love me. We're a great big family kind of vibe that we're getting here. And I think you're dead on there. So it'll be interesting to see. I think this is a floor that I really need to see on television, which will happen soon enough. But
there are
really
elements
close.
that I like. There are elements that I like. Doug, you have a baby. You know what Barney has, right?
I
He has a
don't.
baby bop.
Oh, I didn't. Yes, you know what? I wasn't a big Barney fan. I'm gonna tell you right now. When Barney came on, I tried to avoid. I was an Arthur fan as a kid.
Well, yeah, it's
loved
better.
Sesame
Arthur's
Street
way
as a
better.
kid. Was not a huge Barney fan. So yeah, but they do seem to kind of remember Bop.
Thank you for your analysis on Baby Bop. That was excellent. All right, coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Baby Bop, one of the great sidekicks in kids' television show history.
All right, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, maybe even LaMelo Ball. Which NBA player moves the betting line the most this season? Locked On and BetOnline odds makers present the NBA Top 50 Most Valuable Players starting on September 19th. You can find it on Locked On NBA wherever you get your podcast, and you can find it on YouTube. We spin the wheel of random Hornets content and talk about the all-time children television sidekicks coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast. Doug, I do have a question with the theme of this before we actually get to the wheel of random Hornets content. So I heard Fred Whitfield talk about this. I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago.
He talked about the wheel?
No, he didn't talk about the wheel. The wheel, that's what Fred Whitfield's going to talk about next year. I want that to be the logo. And could we have some type of special effect where you can spin the wheel during home games? That's what I want to see. Let's get that together, Hornets PR staff. Thank you very much. But he was talking about the cell theme, okay? Because we've referenced cell a lot, and I bet a lot of people are either questioning what the hell they're talking about or
What the cell?
what's the big deal about the cell? Yes, what the cell is going on here? Because most people call it honeycomb. But Fred Whitfield was talking about kind of going more towards the Hornets mantra because honeycomb, that's reserved for bees, Doug. Like, that's not a part of the Hornets mantra. Hornets, in fact, live in cells when they make their nest. They're not making the honey like the bees are. So my question to you is, do we care enough? Are we entomologists or are we NBA fans that we care about accuracy with honeycomb and bees? Or do we just want to subscribe bees, honeycomb, Hornets, it's all the same. Let's just play some basketball.
Hey, listen, in an era where fact and fiction often blend together and we can't tell what is real and what is not real, I appreciate this organization. The one thing that they're going to stand on is sort of apiary facts. They're going to make sure that we understand the difference between bees and hornets, which I know, on this show, listen, there's only so much you can do with like swarm, sting, we run out of cute ways. So I do think we do invite bees into this program as to use some of those terms to describe the Hornets, but they are different. Hornets and bees are different. It's true.
Yeah, Hornets, do Hornets live in a hive? I think they do.
I sure hope so, because hive has definitely been part of the branding.
That one, I'm pretty sure they live in a hive. We need to get our Hornets facts because most people get it. No, not honeycomb. That is not a fact about the Hornets. It's, in fact, a fact about bees.
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
Right.
Hornet, bees, I don't care. You're getting the can. Get away from me, buddy.
Not bees, though. Save the bees, Doug. For the Hornets, actually, I don't want a live hornet in my house.
Honeybees?
For a bee, I'll try. Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because I won't do you. If you're a carpenter bee, if you're not a threat, talk about. Here we go. Go back to our conversation in the second
the
segment.
Carpenters.
The
Charlotte
carpenter bee
Carpenters
has become such a low threat that I don't care about it anymore. When I'm walking by, a bumblebee, I'm not worried about a bumblebee, so I'm just going to ignore it. But you talking a honeybee, small, will sting you, will die to sting. They'll die. They will literally kill themselves in order to sting you. That's how passionate they are. So they're getting the can.
There's something here. You could argue they haven't stung once, but maybe drafting LaMelo was their one sting, and then they died right after that. And that's where the bee connection
I
there
sure
is.
hope not.
I don't either. All right, let's go to the wheel of random Hornets content. Do you want to reveal some of the topics still here? Or do you just want to spin it and have the wheel land, and we'll talk about whatever shows up?
I love talking about the wheel before. Maybe even more than spinning the wheel. I like to talk about the wheel. So, yeah, let's get to it. I do have a few more topics on the wheel. We've got lineups. We still have one more to do of those. Who wore it best? MJ or Chicken Soup is still there if we want to go one more round of that. We've still got some information on Swarm to Vote. Really, really important information.
You're doing that if we land on it. I already did it. They need to hear a different take.
Well, you already landed on Swarm. No, you landed on Spectrum updates, right? Or did we do Swarm to vote?
No, I did Swarm to vote already when I did a solo show, but you weren't listening because you didn't get to listen to your own voice.
You know what? Then I'm putting it back. I just took it off the wheel, but I'm gonna because you were sassy, I'm putting it back on the wheel because I haven't heard it and I need to hear it. All right, so the other one is LaMelo Nito Stato, and then I've added a new one. Who colder for real?
Oh, I don't know what that is, but it's amazing.
You're going to find out if we land on it. Here we go. Still not playing our music. I'm going to have to figure that out.
Man, it's not
the
a
wheel
vibe
is
anymore.
Broken.
Oh, yes, I'm excited. Awesome.
And
Who
we
colder
landed
for
on
real?
Who colder for real? FR. Boing. All right, who colder for real? So what this is, Walker, is a tweet that our good friend LaMelo Ball just tweeted out a few days ago. Let me bring it over here to play with.
I would help you stall, but I really have no clue what this category is going to be, so I can't talk about it.
Yeah, and I just, it's funny. I just dragged that tweet, and then it just disappeared. It's gone forever. Did it go here? Yeah, here we go. All right, so
okay.
I don't know if you've seen this video, and I'll describe it for the people that are listening, but it's happening in New York. A man is pointing to a basketball. He is all right, so let me pause it. So there's a man standing on the street in New York, and there's a basketball on the sidewalk. He is standing next to one of these courts in New York that have the really high gates, and he's pointing at the basketball, and he's asking this guy, hey, can you give me the basketball? I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to make it from outside of the basketball court. And this individual then gets the ball, but kicks it with his legs, sort of a trick kind of soccer maneuver where he flips the basketball to the guy who takes one dribble, pulls up, and swish.
Bang.
Knocks it down, runs through the street. And
into oncoming traffic. That's what he runs
oncoming
into.
traffic, exactly. And so the kick flip of the basketball or knocking down the shot from outside of the basketball court, LaMelo Ball asking on Twitter, I don't know who colder for real 100. Y'all going with the dime or the shot? So, Walker, this segment is, I ask you, are you going with the dime or the shot? Who colder for real?
Both. To do what they did on the spot is amazing. I know there is some allegations of funny business. The fact that one of these guys, I believe, actually has a channel where it's like, oh, wait, this is impromptu, but really it's not. Either way, it's still very cool. Give me the dime. To say on spot, I would like to shoot this basketball. You don't pick it up, but instead you twist it with your feet up in the air and then knee soccer maneuver to the boy shooting. That is more impressive. The dime wins for me.
Well, I hate to break it to everyone, but yes, everything on the internet is fake, and this is fine. This is the fine kind of fake where it's sort of obviously fake. This person that does the kick flip of the basketball, he's sort of known on social media as a sort of trick kicker. He kicks water bottles and kicks things into garbage trucks. He's just sort of known for that. And this guy who shoots the basketball is known for this kind of thing. And so they've teamed up. A couple of social media superstars have teamed up in a very NBA Big Three kind of way to make a splash. And they've got 17 million views on this video. So I'm not gonna really criticize the game at all. It's so obviously, I think, fake. But still, people think it's real, and that's fine. They can think that. This is a harmless kind of fake news here, where it's not that big of a deal. But who colder for real? I think I'm going to go with the guy shooting. I don't think that's the popular opinion. I think people think that the kick is colder, and it's certainly flashier. But here's my thing. Shooting it from that distance, not the cold part. Shooting it that high to get over the gate, because it's a very high gate. To do that takes a little bit more practice. But it's not even that, Walker. It's running into traffic and not dying, I think, is the colder part.
I will give you the traffic because a lot of things are fake about this video. The actual shot making and the running into the traffic is not. He did hit that shot, and he did run into traffic. That's real. I don't think all those drivers knew that he was going to do that. What I will say is I actually think the fence is a little bit of a mirage as far as how hard it is. So because you have to get some air under it anyway. So who cares? You can make things really cool by just putting some facade under the actual arc of your shot. I like the visual of it, But to say that makes it all that much more impressive, I think he's putting that arc on the shot anyway.
Well, I think it changes your arc, and you have to also understand if you look back at the video, there's a tree there as well. So there is a window that he has to hit to knock down this shot, and so
that's fair. If he has to
difficult.
get it right within that window, that's fine. That's fair. But it reminds me of the net that surrounds the basketball if you're shooting on a machine that rebounds it and passes it back to you, because you got to shoot over the net. It's a little bit closer to the basketball hoop, but at the end of the day, you're still shooting over something.
Now, that's a game of basketball I might have a chance against you at. Now that,
Shooting
I think,
overall? Yeah,
well,
maybe.
shooty hoops, yeah. I think that, your height is not an advantage there. In fact, I think in shooty hoops, you're the arcade, arcade basketball, right? I call it, well, that's fine. If you call it pop a shot, I call it shooty hoops. It's fine.
No one calls it shooty hoops.
Everyone calls it shooty hoops. Shooty hoops, I think I actually your height might be a little bit of a disadvantage there. I think
I will tell you right. I'll take anybody on at pop a shot. I'm actually really
What about
nasty
shooty
with it in
hoops?
pop a shot. Never played. Couldn't tell you. I've never seen that game in my life. That'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for joining us, making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your podcast. Make your second listen Locked On NBA. You have the top 50 most valuable player candidates coming up this season. Doing that all week long, September 19th is when they'll start that. But you can still catch your 30-minute update on Locked On NBA anywhere you get your podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Appreciate you hopping on with us once again, Locked On Hornets.